Welcome to the College Football Prop Show presented by LineStar. I'm Shannon Sommerville with your top college football player prop bets for week 4. We've got some great picks for you that are available on Underdog Fantasy, Sleeper, Chalkboard, Parlay Play. If you don't have those apps yet, make sure to download them. Use the promo code LineStar so you can get a nice deposit match plus 1 free month of LineStar. LineStar is a great app that can help you in the prop betting market and in daily fantasy as well, so make sure to check that out. In fact, the tool that I will be referencing throughout this video is the Props AI tool. You can find that on the LineStar app. You can go to linestarapp.com to check that out, but I will be talking about LineStar's projections throughout this video, and that's what I'm using to help me find the best value. And in fact, we've been doing pretty good with the LineStar app for college football. We are 8-3 over the course of the first few weeks, so doing good. Last week on the show, we were 2-1 on our picks. One of our picks, Jaden Blue, didn't end up playing. I told you guys he was an injury risk, which was why we took the under on his rushing yards. However, he didn't play, so we get our money back on that one. The other pick that didn't cash for us was Montrell Johnson for the Florida Gators. Man, Billy Napier definitely getting fired after that performance. -7 rushing yards for the running back. That's just unacceptable. Nonetheless, our other 2 picks cashed for us. It was a running back show last week. Noah Whittington, 64 yards. So cash for us on the over. We only needed over 24.5. And then Trevor Etienne just barely got the over. I was sweating out that game, you guys, as a Georgia Bulldogs fan against Kentucky. But he did clear for us on over 10.5 receiving yards. So hopefully you also got it at 10.5. I did see that it had bumped up. So hopefully you guys you were able to cash in on that pick right there. All right, we got a great slate of games for this weekend, including one of my favorites is going to be Tennessee going up against Oklahoma, because I think that's going to be a really good test for that Tennessee dynamic offense going up against Brent Venables, a guy who has done really well throughout his career against SEC defenses. From a prop perspective, I'm actually staying away from it. I'm going to some more favorable game environments. So before we get into it, though, do me a huge favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. Not only does that help me out in the YouTube algorithm, but it also helps you out because if I go 4 for 4, one randomly selected commenter will win $50. It's that easy. All you got to do is comment below. Let me know any locks that you might have for week 4 in college football. All right, let's get into our picks. And I talked about game environment. One of my favorite game environments this weekend is going to be South Florida going up against the Miami Hurricanes. We're talking about Byrum Brown. How about an over here on his total yards at 232.5? LineStar's projection is 279. And while he's only gone over that 232.5 mark 1 of the 3 games, he is averaging 234 total yards per game. And when Lance Guidry, the defensive coordinator of Miami, talked about how they're going to face Brown, he basically outlined their game plan, and he said it starts with stopping the run and making Brown throw. It's something I think he'll do in this game. Even though Miami does have the 9th rated pass defense in passing yards allowed, this game total is 65.5. So Vegas definitely thinks this is going to be a high-paced, high-scoring affair. Now, Miami is 16.5-point favorites. Cam Ward and the Canes offense, they're going to score some points. But that helps us here because that's going to start pushing Brown to put up some numbers. They'll be playing from behind if those Vegas lines are any indication. And South Florida has the fastest pace offense in the country, 85.5 plays per game. Miami's 39th, so this is going to be a fast-paced, high-scoring affair. Byrum Brown, we're going with the over on 232.5 pass and rush yards. For my next pick, I'm basically just going with a correlation pick here because we've got Brown over on his pass and rush yards. We're going to his wide receiver, Sean Atkins, over 43.5 receiving yards. LineStar's projection is 63. The consensus projection, which is basically an aggregate of all of the industry leaders across and their projections, it's 73.3. So Atkins is averaging 55 receiving yards this season. He had 87 just last week against Southern Mississippi. This is a game we're basically just taking correlation here and just betting on this high-scoring affair and the Bulls having to play from behind and pass the ball a lot to keep up with that Miami offense. You know Cam Ward and the Hurricanes are going to be scoring some points in this one, and they're going to have to keep up the USF Bulls in this one if they want to stay competitive in this contest. So I like that we're doing a little correlation pick here between Brown and Atkins. So taking Atkins, again, over 43.5 receiving yards. Next up to a pretty dynamic running back who's been kind of off to a slow start this season. We're talking about Oklahoma State running back Ollie Gordon. but we're taking the over on his receiving yards here. It's at 15.5, and LineStar's projection is 18.6. The consensus also with the over at 22. He has been over this in 2 of 3 contests this season, averaging around that 15.5 mark. He's averaging 14.6 this season. He has just 1 reception for 4 yards last week, but that was in a 45-10 win over Tulsa. So I'm kind of taking that one out of the equation as sort of an anomaly. After all, this is a guy who averaged 27.4 receiving yards per game just last season. What's happening is week after week, teams are just stacking the box against Gordon to just take him out of the equation. They are going up against Utah. That's a tough defense. They're 12th best in EPA per pass play allowed in Power 5 on throws under 2.5 seconds, which matters because Bowman is the 8th fastest throw time for the Cowboys. So even though this is a good defense, I still am leaning with Ollie Gordon in this one. I think they're going to have to find a way to just get him the ball, and I don't think it's going to be with the rushing game in particular because teams are just essentially taking that away from them. So I think this Oklahoma State offense is going to have to get creative to get Ollie Gordon in space somehow, because this is one of the greatest running backs. He's got insane instincts, cutback ability, and he's 6'2", 225. So when he does get going, he is a hard man to slow down. And I think that's where they need to just get him in space and use him in the receiving game in this one. So I think look for that one in this contest. Ollie Gordon over 15.5 receiving yards. Next up, we're taking it to the ACC. Georgia Tech taking on Louisville, and we're rolling with Georgia Tech quarterback Haynes King over 38.5 rushing yards in this one. LineStar's projection is 42.3. Listen, the bread and butter for Georgia Tech offense, the option run game. Tech runs the ball on 52% of plays this season, averaging 5.6 yards per attempt. Now, Louisville does have a good pass defense, although they haven't really faced anyone, but they are allowing just 116 passing yards per game, but that could lend itself to more rushing yards for Georgia Tech in this one. They didn't rush King at all last week in the blowout win over VMI, but I think that changes. The first 3 games, he was averaging 52.6, so last year he rushed for 53 against this Louisville team. The Cardinals do currently rank 4th in the nation in run defense grade at 91.8, but they have yet to face any offense that's even remotely similar to the Georgia Tech one they're about to face. They've only played Austin Peay and Jack State. So what can we really extrapolate from that? A whole lot of nothing. I think this Georgia Tech offense is going to be hard to stop, and that starts with stopping the rushing quarterback threat of Haynes King in this one. We're rolling with the over here, 38.5 rush yards for King. For my last pick, I'm going to Tight End University. Iowa, the NFL pipeline for all great tight ends. George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, Sam Laporta, Noah Fant. And maybe the next guy is Luke Lachey. That's where we're headed for our pick this week. Luke Lachey over 22.5 receiving yards. LineStar's projection is 25.8. He had 63 yards week 1, just 25 yards versus Troy. He has dealt with a lot of injuries over the year, but this is a great talented playmaker. And what Iowa needs to do in this contest against Minnesota is get it to their playmakers, especially in the passing game, because Minnesota does have a great run defense that will present a challenge to them. So they'll need to get it to their playmakers in that offense. And Luke Lachey, the best tight end on the roster, we're going Lachey over 22.5 receiving yards. Those are my picks for this week in college football. Let me know what you think in the comments, if you are rolling with them or if you are fading, or if you have your own locks, make sure to drop them in the comments. We're all here to help each other out and beat the books and win some money. So drop your locks below. It'll also enter you into the contest. If we go 4 for 4 on those first 4 picks, one randomly selected commenter will win $50. I added that Lachey pick as a little bonus for you guys this week. So hopefully you guys can cash in on some of those picks. Good luck. We'll see you guys next time.